Hi, welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. Welcome all the new members. We're selling our house. Not going to have a big, update on, my drama, situation, but it's pretty, as you can imagine, like this is all set up in one of the rooms, and you know, it's okay, but they want to take pictures, and it's kind of you can tell behind me if you're used to watching the channel, and here and on YouTube, a lot of this stuff's gone already, right? So we're still living here. We're going to be a couple of months to get this whole thing, into the next place and everything. But man, we've really thinned it out. So I have to run to like the garage, like to get stuff I use every day. I'm just like, I must have thrown that in some box or something. And of course, the next day you haven't used it in 6 months, and suddenly it's just, you have to have it right this second. So we're excited, and the new setup's going to be cool. So something for all of us to look forward to. Got a jazzy blues here for you today, and I got it tabbed, every note of what I just played. So we're going to just go right through that, and we're going to use it to stop and talk about a few, topics along the way. But we're not going to like talk about topics and then, 12 minutes in, play something. We're going to start right at the top of this thing and get going with it. So, what I did on this is I didn't play over a backing track, as you just saw, but I really tried to make this fit where you can just play, a 12-bar blues using just, if we're in A, the 1, the 4, and the 5. A for 4 measures, D7, all of them could be 7s. D7, for 2, back to the A7, E7, D7, A. Okay. The reason I'm mentioning that is that there are moves in the melody of this that imply other additional chord changes. Like the last episode, if you saw it, where we talked about when you go from the 1 to the 4 in blues, you can treat that like a 2, 5, 1, as if the D7, the 4 chord in A blues, don't want to confuse everybody, is the 1, okay? But that's like a substitution routine, right? So you're going along in A. On that last measure, okay, if you haven't seen that video, check it out, because then we talked about how you could trace those chords, that E minor 7, A7 again, up to D7. But you can do it all over the A chord. And this whole this whole exercise is like that. You don't have to play all the jazzy chords, right? Put on any of your backing tracks or just make a 12-bar loop of your own. So that was a little bit of a review that... Okay, not going to go through every little bit of that. But you notice there was an altered note in there. Oh, wait a minute. That wasn't just tracing the chords. That one is when I chase. That little flat 9 of that A, in whatever context you want to refer to it, whatever's happening at the moment. If we just kind of refer it all back to the A, our key, the blues that we're in, that's that flat 9 of that A. Now, we're going to jump right in here, but when we get pretty quick, we're going to get to where this is going to kind of dovetail with stuff from that previous lesson. So that was number 50. I believe we've had 50 videos on here. Started about a year ago. So this one is really a companion, for that. This one's going to be a little bit richer and a little more fun for you, hopefully, because we got it all written out. Now I'm going to start putting this up in 4 measure portions, I guess. I'll do it after I film the video. Let's see. Let me get this up here and let's go for these first 4 lines. They'll all be over the 1 chord, the A7. So here we go. Okay, so we're going to come in on A7 and we're going to start with this note A, and we're going to slide the first little symbol there on the, let me get my view straightened out here a little bit where I can see the tab, make sure. I always like to see the tab, even though I wrote this morning. I want to make sure I do it just like it says. So we're going to go. Okay, so that symbol there is sliding in. The reason it doesn't say S for slide, like it sometimes does, I'll show you, is it doesn't really have time value. It's more of just an embellishment. Right? It's not like an even amount of time. Okay, does that make sense? It's just an embellishment of that major third of the A. And just in this first measure, real quick, that's an important and useful place to just kind of mess around. Just stay right in there. See that triad? Sometimes I'm going to the flat 7, but also the 6 right here. Okay, so that's all improvised. That's not in the tab, right? But just that first little measure is a little example to get how you could do a lot of exploration right there. So we go. Okay, that's a 13 root, flat 7, major third, 6, or the 13. Now there I'd use the 6 down here. So a lot of us are used to that. Seeing that 6 right there, right next to that flat 7, and a kind of a mixolydian or dominant kind of system. Even with minor pentatonic, the blues scale, put that 6 in there. But it's also right here. Okay, so this is all still over the A7. The A13 is just has some extra chord tones in there. Okay, I'm going slow, but you could make that staccato. And just remember that F sharp right there is the 6. That's an important note. Sometimes you hear a lot of approaches at the beginning of. stuff like that, right? Mess around with it. You'll see a lot of them do it. If you get onto this style of blues on YouTube, you'll see a lot of them, using that shape. It fits well with the arpeggio. And you'll find your way. So now we're going to go right to this fourth measure on this first slide is a diminished lick that leads to the D7, the 4 chord. So okay, you hear that? That's kind of like that other business when we were doing that 2-5 substitution to get to that D, right? And we end up also involving that flat 9 or that A sharp right there, right? So here's the first slide again. Right. So now I'm going to move to the second slide, and that was just kind of that last little staccato bit, kind of syncopated, and then it went from 1 under the D9 shape. It says D7 there, but to moving right up to it. So that's okay. Now, so there's some nice tension going from the 1 to the 4 right there, right? You can also create tension. We're not going to get deeply into this series. Like I told you last week, it's going to build on these skills. If we try to explain the theory on every single bit of it, all the right from the get-go, you get distracted. You need to hear it and just practice this piece, and then you'll have more informed questions about it, right? Like, oh, what is that? What's going on with, why are we choosing these notes? So we're going to do them both simultaneously, not just look at it on the chalkboard and then start doing it. We're going to start doing it while we're talking about it. So after you get to that D, well, this is a nice sound. That's leading from the end of the D 4 chord portion, right? There's 2 measures there. So like the last portion of measure 2, there's a line leading back to the A7, and it's and that's more of that business like measure 1, right? It's just kind of using that triad and doing a little sliding and stuff. In this case, I did put an S in there because I guess I wanted to give it a little time. That should probably just have been a slash, right? Because it's really just it depends on how you time it. But right, but I the way I'm feeling it is kind of just a quick embellishment there. You can watch the intro to see how I did it. Then I just go up and do a little chord for the A7. Then there's a little drag off of it, those slashes, right? Just leaving a lot of space in that measure. What is that? Measure 8, right? So check that out. So after we come out of the D into the D, it depends on, we're not using rests and the whole time signature kind of, this isn't notation, right, on a grand staff here, right? This is just tab showing you the location of the notes. So you can kind of, let yourself, put in your own sense of where those beats are and things like that, You'll feel it in your way. The important part is that you land it like where that change is. Right. And you can really, kind of pick this apart in your own way and say, oh, I see, I could play all of these lines that lead up to these bars. You can kind of isolate them and really let your ear, enjoy that and absorb it. Okay. Then the last line here is really just a kind of a standard turnaround. This one doesn't have a lot of tensioning, altered notes and stuff in it. It's just kind of like the shape of a nine. And read my own tab, but there's a little pickup before the bar. Right. Then, um, you could do whatever you want with that. Slide it, pre-bend it. Um, okay, and here's just a standard blues kind of Clapton type lick. That's a really good one. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but here it is written down for you. That's just like, uh, 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 you know, I'm very keen on everybody, having their own style and language, but if we're playing blues, that last measure right there is pretty much, standard equipment or whatever you want to call it, right? So, good opportunity to just put that in there if you've never seen it written down. And again, that little slide that goes up to the nine, you could bend it there. Right. The tricky part about this lick is the double stop. See, there's two places where you got to kind of roll down with the same finger, with that first finger. You'll get it. That's really important. But go slow and do that a little bit each day till you can really play that little turnaround right there. It's a good one. Okay. Now, I think this was a kind of a good session to get you going on this. Like I said, there's a bunch of theory in there that we could get into, like why are those runs, why are those notes flatted, and so forth. You know, you learn this little piece. You can do it off to the side. You don't have to have a backing track. You just play it at your own speed. And every measure of it is kind of a little routine that you'll be able to generalize into other blues pieces that you're working on and other lessons from other creators and stuff that you might be seeing on YouTube or Patreon. Thank you again. Let me know how this goes for you. I'll talk to you next time.